day, Malaysia. This is your anchor Rachel Yap. And today's top news story is Lululemon's sheer pants crisis. Well, what do you think about that? But for those who don't know what is or who is Lululemon, it started out in Vancouver, Canada in the year 1998 by the founder named Chip Wilson. It is yoga-inspired technical apparel that was made for both men and women. It started out in a design studio during the day and at night a yoga studio. Soon it was established as an independent retail outlet store in November 2000 on the street of 4th Avenue in Vancouver itself. Well, Lululemon's very first design was actually made for women who was geared into yoga. They have received an enormous feedback from clients, ambassadors as well as famous athletics. Right now, Lululemon has diverted from yoga to cycling, training, and running and other sweaty pursuits that are made for both men and women. And additionally, Lululemon designers are not just designers, but they're also famous athletics and they are very sweat-minded people. Lululemon's vision is actually to create a place beyond what people could get their gear to sweat in. It was their desire to develop a community hub where individuals could gather to learn and discuss the physical aspects of having a healthy lifestyle and living the life filled with positivity and to their full potential. Lululemon emphasized the importance to create and maintain their real relationships with their clients, also to comprehend what those clients are passionate about and how they like to sweat in and how they achieve and celebrate their goals. Today, they've expanded worldwide and continue to strive the passion. There are so many reasons how Mr. Wilson actually started up Lululemon. The first reason was to make women's butt look good. In 1997, Mr. Wilson previously had his own snowboarding apparel company known as West Beach Snowboard. He was living in Vancouver at the time when he first took his yoga class. He was having back issues due to constant participation in triathlons, and that's why he took up gym. While he was there, he noticed the instructor was wearing a dance apparel clothing which was thin and sheer, and at that time that made him realize that why not start up his own yoga apparel company. He quoted, "I believe that if I could solve the transparency problems, thicken the fabric to mask any imperfections, I could make the perfect athletic garment for women." Well, during that year, well-known brands such as Nike and Adidas was practicing and embracing this philosophy, shrink it and pink it. This simply meant that they were turning men's athletics clothing into gear that could be sold to women instead. However, Mr. Wilson's idea was made specifically designed to emphasize on women's figures. Well, that was how Lululemon actually started. In 2015, in the fourth quarter, Lululemon's revenues were estimated to be in between $690 to $695 million and pushing its sales well over $2 billion. Though it may seem like a successful story, Lululemon has faced many stumbles along the way, and most notably was the sheer pants crisis. They've made a costly production on their popular women's yoga pants, which they had to recall a massive of 17% and lost over $67 million. In 2013, Lululemon was forced to recall its $98, which is then converted to Malaysian ringgit. It is 405 ringgit for their leggings. The yoga pants was seen to be too see-through and too sheer. According to some customers, this was done to actually cut manufacturing costs. Right after their quality control issues made by Lululemon, they also faced another marketing disaster. Mr. Wilson gave an interview right after the see-through pants crisis. He implied that women who actually complained about the sheerness of the pants were simply too large to be wearing them. Even after what happened, Mr. Wilson was pretty much still a spiritual leader of the brand, despite the fact that he actually stepped down in 2005. The founder then made a controversial statement in Bloomberg TV in November 2013. He simply said this: "Women's bodies just don't actually work for Lululemon's products. It's really about rubbing through the thighs, how much pressure there is over a period of time, and how much they use it." Right after he made a controversial statement, numerous media outlets actually picked up the story and Twitter was erupted with responded on Mr. Wilson's fat-shaming comments. How did Lululemon handle the crisis? Well, the whole fiasco had made Mr. Wilson realize his mistake. He apologized and said now that Lululemon is embracing all women in shapes and sizes. He even dug a deeper hole where he posted an apology video on Lululemon's Facebook page titled "We Hear You." In the video, Mr. Wilson can be seen very teary when he talked about how sad he was for his employees and made no mention of the Lululemon's customers and their thighs. He quoted, "I'm sad for the repercussions of my actions. I'm sad for the people of Lululemon who I care so much." Well, in the end, Lululemon handled the crisis with explicitness by offering a full explanation and refund to those who actually bought the pants and promised to have a new and improved version of the yoga pants back in the shelves in 90 days. Former CEO Kristen Day also fired their chief producer officer. 6 months later, it was re-released the style with an extra layer of fabric, calling it with a wink and nod "Second Chance Pants." They were selling it from $98 to $92. Even though Mr. Wilson actually apologized and posted an apology video on Facebook, but there were some comments right below who were still outraged at what he said. For example, Sarah Hunter said this: "Who is the audience for this video, and what's with the moist eyes? Doesn't seem genuine at all to me." Also, this is another case of another CEO forgetting what they were selling. Another comment made by Karen Churchill: "This did not come across as an apology to guests, but only to employees. Perhaps shoot another clarifying video? How about apologizing to the customers he fat-shamed about?" Another user made a comment. Jessica Russell said this: "Well, I just watched the Bloomberg TV interview because I wanted to hear the ridiculous excuses directly from Jake Wilson's mouth. I was having a hard time believing that the founder of a company that makes most of its money from women could actually utter such ridiculous excuses about the manufacturing. I expect my cheap big box of clothing to wear off and peel, but I expect more from $98 pants, regardless how awesomely powerful my thighs are." As a result, even though Mr. Wilson actually posted the video as an apology, but this has caused more outrage and more outbursts among the customers, the public, and the media. However, there were some groups actually supported the sheerness pants crisis made by Lululemon. For example, a regular customer named Charlotte said this: "I don't understand why Lululemon is so worried about their sheer pants. If you have problems with your butt being invisible, then yoga is definitely not for you. Yoga is where butts get waggled and stuck up in the air. You're supposed to show your tush with abandon. If you think sheer pants are too scandalous for yoga, then try doing downward dog behind a shirtless man in a teensy-weensy pants." In conclusion, Lululemon has expanded globally for the past 13 years, but sadly they have no experience with dealing any of these downfalls. This simply meant that this would not be the easy fix for the new CEO to step in ever since Mr. Wilson stepped down. The new CEO has a long way to fix the big hole. The glory will not only reignite through new categories and global expansions, but to re-engineer the product to bring down the cost and set its gross margins back into its territory.